Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Duval Dive here on the Believe Network. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game of Fans First Sports Network.
And I'm Travis Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And Jason Trent, Jaguars United, with us once again, broaching all the topics for the upcoming training camp. The season, winter is coming, but it's not really winter. It's summer, or spring, or something. I don't know. I was told Game of Thrones references were allowed, even though Jason hasn't watched the show yet. But thank you for coming in, Mr. Trent. Glad to have you. And because you are the guest, I'm compelled to ask you this. If there was a candidate on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster who's most ripe for a comeback this season, I feel like this is a little easy wording it this way, but we'll see what you say. Who is it, Jason? Who you got?
That's a good question because there's a lot of candidates, in my opinion, that you could put on this list due to the inefficiency of coaching on both sides of the ball last year. So you could pull a name out of a hat and you could probably hit somebody who I think could be that bounce back candidate. Now, I'm going to give you a name that isn't going to seem to fit in the question, and then I'm going to give you a name that does. So let me start with the first one. Josh Hines-Allen. I think we saw a slight regression from him last year, and I think when you put him into a competent defense, along with the emergence of Trevon Walker, you're going to see him maybe get back to that close to Defensive Player of the Year numbers and ability. Now, not saying he played bad last year, and I know that doesn't really fit the category. So I just wanted to quickly mention him as someone that we could see make a resurgence to that bounce back. But I think a guy, and we talked about him on the live show I did with you guys, not a popular opinion, but a guy who I think could be poised to surprise a lot of people is Devin Lloyd. And I have been someone that has been so harsh on Devin Lloyd. I have hours and hours of content of me calling out Devin Lloyd. Now, I want to make clear when I say calling out, these guys are better athletes than me. I am not saying they are not good athletes. The fact that they have made it to the NFL and are starters, they are cream of the crop athletes. I'm not saying anything about his athleticism, but I think you could see him kind of get put into a role where he could be successful. He was really good in the run game, good tackler. I thought he fit gaps pretty well last year. We saw deficiency in pass coverage and things like that. I think if this new defensive staff with Campanelli can get him coming off the edge a little bit, can put him in easier reads, reading maybe like one or two reads, zone dropping, not having to covering a tight end and man, I think we could see Devin Lloyd go from a guy that we're all expecting not to be on the team in the future to someone who could actually be someone that contributes to this defense on a weekly basis.
Ooh, that's funny.
That one, Travis. Go ahead. Yeah.
Because Devin Lloyd was one of my guys also. And I have a few guys to Jason's point. I have a few guys that's on this list that because the Jaguars had so many, whether it's schematic, whether it's just bad communication, whether it's just the bad coaching, whatever the situations that occurred in 2024, that there's a lot of options for this category, for this conversation. But Devin Lloyd was one of those guys because I unfortunately or fortunately feel that no matter how this goes, he's probably not going to be on the roster in 2026. Like even if he doesn't have a good season or if he has an incredible season, like either way, because they're probably not going to franchise him because of the cost of the linebacker franchise tag, because of the edge rushers also being lumped in that. And you're not going to really want to pay him that amount when you've just drafted, a linebacker this season in Jack Heiser, and you still have Ventura Miller on his rookie contract. Like, you still have options available, and you're probably going to draft another linebacker in this coming 2026 season, as we talked about on Wednesday's Duval Dive. So I'm just like, yeah, no matter how it goes, good or bad, he's probably not going to be on the roster. But also, you kind of hope that the bounce back situation can't happen because this is his third defensive coordinator at this point, third different defense, and they did have better success. At least it wasn't perfect, but better success under Mike Caldwell. So you can kind of hope and pray on it. I can see what you're putting down, if that's what I'm getting to.
Just a quick question, not to cut you off. Is there a level of play you could see Devin Lloyd playing at to where he does get a contract extension? Or do you think
So
regardless he's gone?
I think he played incredible, and I do mean incredible, that he wouldn't accept a contract
Okay.
because he'd get more money
Gotcha.
elsewhere. So
Maybe
that's the reason I say, like,
out.
I can't see a scenario where he lands on the roster, because when they finally want to pay him, he ain't gonna want to, like, he ain't taking a discount, and they're not going to want to pay him that amount when it's a position that seems, to me at least, from my vantage, that they don't generally pay. Like, you don't see the Rams pay linebackers for the most part. You do see it a little bit with the Bucks, but again, that wasn't his team, and he wasn't his defense. The head coach was kind of the defensive guy. So
Also, he is not Devin White. Let's be clear about that. I don't think there's any argument there. Okay.
So overall, that's kind of what I'm getting at. It just doesn't feel, it's a lot like the running back position, which I will say is my second guy, Travis Etienne.
I was
Like
say,
the running back position, I don't know that they're going to pay that guy no matter how good he is, unless he ends up showing out to a super elite level. And I don't know that. I don't know how that, like, I don't know how they get onto the same page at that point when it gets to the negotiation table.
well, and you're talking about contracts and stuff, but as far as candidates for comeback players, or sorry, bounce back players, I think I might have given myself away. It's one of Vegas's biggest picks to be the comeback player of the damn league. It's Trevor Lawrence, guys. What are we doing?
I was going to, if no one mentioned that, I was going to ask about that. So I'm glad
no
you
one
did.
mentioned it. How is this not the lead? Okay, and I get it. I always complain about the comeback player of the year award and the fact that it was handed to Joe Flacco over a guy that literally died on the field. But at least in Trevor Lawrence's case, he suffered a physical injury and has a chance to come back from it. And not just that he has a chance to come back from it in a situation where he showed so much grit. He had Colin Cowherd thinking that the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't own a damn golf cart. But that's a separate conversation, right? What I'm getting at is everything around him in some way, shape, form, or fashion on this offense got better. The running back core, the floor is risen. The O-line, we don't know who's starting, but we know the worst guy isn't. The worst guy's a lot better until Luke Fortner eventually gets cut, and then the entire tide will get risen higher. The receiver core, miles better. We have BTJ on the roster with another year of experience. Somebody could take a top off the defense. De'Ami Brown, maybe you think he's great, maybe you don't. Another guy that can do the same. And oh, by the way, there's this Hunter kid everybody can't shut up about. And when it comes to the receiver core, we don't know what's going on until we get to the fourth spot as far as battles. We had that conversation Wednesday about what's going on there. But yeah, it's Trevor, guys.
You're not wrong. Trevor is the easy bearing of the lead example, and you're right to say it. But I avoided the quarterback because it's the easy. To me, it's the obvious answer, and it's the easiest answer. And quarterbacks get all the love, man. Come on, let's talk. I just want to talk about the other guys because we know it's Trevor. We of course know it's Trevor.
We don't mention it. We're not doing our job. Boy, you didn't even talk about Trevor. You don't know Paul. Whatever.
What do you disagree, Jason? It sounds like you might.
I everything Kyle said, brilliantly said.
However,
that being said, I am lower on Trevor than I've ever been in my entire life. Even when he was at Clemson and the Jags we weren't even thinking the Jags were going to have a shot at Trevor. When Trevor Lawrence was winning the national championship, and I'm thinking, man, whoever gets Trevor is going to be really lucky because that's a really good quarterback.
Where now, I'm the lowest. Is there too much Trevor hate episode, Trevor? Go ahead.
It's not Trevor hate. And I have seen a body of work of Trevor to where it's not I'm hate on Trevor. It's I've seen Trevor. And you can say whatever you want about the injuries, the offensive line, the drop balls, all valid points. For all of those, you also have air-mailed balls over the receivers. You have terrible decision making. You have fumbles. Like you have reasons to be worried. I thought I was going to ask about Trevor if no one brought him up. Yeah. That being said, I haven't seen peak Trevor since that stretch he had in 2023. And you said his receiving core
to the start of 2023.
And you said the receiving core is the best it's been. We lost Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Those are two. I mean, we hope Travis Hunter is a really good wide receiver. We hope De'Ami Brown is playoff De'Ami Brown. But as far as what we've seen out of the guys on this depth chart currently, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram are better wide receivers than what we have right now as far as production. We can hope for the best in the future. And
I
Liam's
agree
Coen.
with that. I thought you were done. I'm sorry. Let's say
Interesting.
we agree with that. I'll even hand you that. I don't know that I think we're going to get into semantics about who's better versus what skill sets they have. I think that's a separate conversation. But I will even back you on the part where Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk both had career years against a guy you say you don't know who he is. And that's fine too. But since they had career years with Trevor, you mentioned missing those players. They were missing long before they left the locker room with the amount of time they spent on injured reserve, right? I think
And you can
2 years in a row.
And you can see a correlation in Trevor's numbers going down.
Well,
So
I think we agree. I think we agree that if him missing those guys, but those guys also being injured multiple years straight at their age and at their costs, I don't think the Jaguars took a step back. I think they got different. I will agree with you there. I think the two guys you did name were better proven commodity receivers. If you're just talking just catching the ball, not the blocking part, not the limitations that they add to the offense, but if you're just talking running the routes and catching the balls, I think I fully agree with you. It's just the fact that I believe that a running game, or at least just an average, not even a good, just an average running game does significantly more for Trevor Lawrence in the 2025 season than Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram would do for him catching the ball. That's just kind of where my stance is on that.
Yeah, I agree. And in no way am I saying I think Trevor won't have a bounce back year.
Right.
I'm just playing devil's advocate to you thinking that he will have a bounce back year. Going back to my original point, I'm lower on Trevor than I've ever been. And it is what it is. And it's not that I dislike him. I've had a body of work to reference.
Have you?
So you're viewing Trevor Lawrence in the vein that most Jacksonville Jaguar fans have viewed the organization since, I don't know, 2018. Is they're bad until I see them not being bad. So he's viewing Trevor Lawrence based on you are only as good as the last times I saw you, and the last times I saw him, he was injured and he wasn't playing. So I fully understand that. If that's your stance, I'm not telling anyone to think differently.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, I get it.
The piece I challenge in particular is your diction, Jason, with what Trevor is. I challenge that. How much of Trevor have you actually seen? His first year as a rookie, he was mired in Urban's coaching in what could arguably be the worst coaching performance in NFL history. I don't think anybody on this podcast is going to argue that. Then we have 2 years where he missed significant time with injury. And then we have 20 game stretch of awesome. Sure, there were mistakes. A lot of them were caused by protection issues. Let's be honest. So, no, I don't know that we've seen Trevor yet. That's kind of where I live. And
we haven't seen him. All right, so I was very happy to see Trevor Lawrence's interview on the Pardon. What was it? It wasn't
Pardon My Take.
What was it? Pardon My Take. The Pardon My Take podcast, and it was probably Trevor Lawrence's best interview in his career, in my personal opinion. But he did it. He talked a lot about his college roster, his college team, his college coach, etc., and about who those guys were, and that gave you a little bit of insight into the guys who he had surrounding him, into the way that they operated, into what that structure looked like, and to go from something that looked like that, being the guy that he was throughout his entire life, including high school, to Urban Meyer, and he and Trevor Lawrence acknowledged that, hey man, I hadn't ever gotten under center like consistently. I hadn't ever called plays from the huddle. Like I had it, and he went down a list of a few things. I don't want to say all of it because I don't want to say.
We'll just say ACC versus SEC and move on. Yeah,
a lot of items that I'm like, oh, so you never did this before? Okay, cool. So that makes sense. All right, he wasn't calling audibles to that level. All right, cool. And your first coach is Urban, the historically bad situation surrounding Urban Meyer. And then your second coach is Doug Peterson, who also was fired after having a bad relationship with his quarterbacks in Philadelphia, because he wasn't really able to kind of evolve and mature that offense around the quarterback. He was making the offense play the quarterback play his offense. So you have all these things happening around Trevor Lawrence, and it's like, oh crap, he's never actually been in a truly good situation where they're kind of making the offense around him like his college team did. And this might be the first time we've seen that. So I understand you being down on him, but also if this guy, Liam Coen, is anything close to Dabo Swinney as far as just being consistently who he is and actually involving Trevor in those conversations and building the offense around him in that way that we've seen him do, this might be a situation where I might be a little bit higher on Trevor than in previous years. But I understand I understand your point. He's bad until he's not. I get it.
I always get murdered for saying things bad about Trevor, which is fine. I want Trevor.
People protect the quarterback, bro.
I want Trevor to be successful more than anybody. I swear to you, I want Trevor to be successful more than anybody. The rhetorical question I would ask you that I think might unravel all of your takes is if we see 8 games in a row this season of the same Trevor we've seen for the last 4 years, everybody's out on him. 8 games. If we see 8 games of this guy playing the subpar level he's been playing, now all of a sudden we're looking at quarterbacks to draft. So we've seen 4 years of this guy. We are on the end of our rope as far as what this guy has left to prove. He even said it on the same podcast you mentioned, Pardon My Take.
Yeah.
This is year 5. I've got to go. Yeah, he did a little, I had 3 different coaches. He said all that. I get it. But I never called plays. But this dude's got like half of a season to prove to us that he's the guy. He's had 4 years. So, I get it. All those things are true. You mentioned we haven't seen the real Trevor, and you brought up all of the good things that he did and the bad things he's been through. What you omitted was the fumbling problem he's never gotten rid of.
Absolutely.
What you omitted was his injury propensity he's had the last 2.5 years. So, yes, all those things you said are real. There's also real things that happen to NFL players when they're supposed to be really good and they're projected to be really good and they turn out not to be. So we're just faced with the reality that he's not the guy we thought he was. Again, hoping he's not, but we are facing that.
This is what I meant, and I did it as an aside, hoping that you wouldn't reiterate it, but now you did, and so now I have to bring it up. It's a lot of that is the protection that led to a lot of this stuff, though. Can we be clear on that? And while we're at it, if we're going to ignore coaching, there were a few times that Doug.
We're not ignoring it. We're bringing everything to the forefront.
Well, sorry, your word was omitted. My bad.
Right.
And yes, there were mistakes. How many of them were actually on Trevor are far fewer than what an Emmanuel Acho would have you believe. That's what I'm getting at.
Is that the guy who just got fired?
Recently fired Emmanuel Acho, let's be clear.
I wish it was because of mistakes, but it's not. And we'll leave that at that. But and by the way, this isn't me saying you're wrong. I like the healthy skepticism. I think it's you've been hurt
enough of it. We don't get enough of it in Duval County. I truly think we don't get enough of it in Duval County. Healthy skepticism and saying, hey, I don't know that this is going to be the guy just because y'all believe it's going to be the guy. And because you almost feel like you have to be, but we had this conversation with the Believe in Rams guys when they asked about the option of potentially Trevor Lawrence being traded after, a year or two if he ends up not being the guy, similar to their situation with Matt Stafford and, Jared Goff after getting the general manager coming in. So it's like,
I think there's a healthy skepticism and a good, parallel to be drawn between him and, let's say, a Matt Ryan. Good, not great.
Yeah,
is what I think the potential is there, and I'll leave that at that. We're already 20 minutes in because somebody had to bring up Trevor. My bad.
Somebody brought him up. Wasn't me.
Who are some of your other? Who are some of your other bounce back?
The other one for me was Travis Etienne. Again, that was my other one. Was Travis Etienne situation because I thought that, he obviously had the down year, but his down year is heavily dependent upon the offensive line never being good. But also there's still the question of, is the offensive line good now?
It's better. And it's better enough. It's better enough to keep him from having the the worst yards of first hit.
Oh, yeah, yards before contact.
Yards before contact, thank you. The past 2 years, he's had it. That's all I'm saying. If it's not the third year, we're already looking at a better situation. I'm just saying.
You just said, use that key point. if it's not the same thing, if it's not the league, people are always like, hey, there's no way to go up. No, that's not true. That, mathematically, that ain't true. You can be
I
exactly
didn't
the
say
same and
that.
different.
I just
I
said
know.
if it's not that, let me be clear. I've
It's not
acknowledged
that.
the non-zero chance that all of this flux that I'm so happy about does jack. That's a possibility.
Right.
I'm abundantly aware of that too, but I'm glad you pointed it out so I can tell everybody at home that that's the case.
So,
How about this name?
how do you feel about him?
How about this name for you? I want to get y'all's feelings.
Yeah.
Arik Armstead. Moving back to the interior, maybe the 5 tech, maybe a little 3 tech, playing with Hines-Allen and Walker at the same time. A defense that maybe has an idea of what they're doing. Is there a chance Arik Armstead kind of gets back to his former self and kind of who he used to be? Or is this guy washed and we're done with him?
I'm about to say, I don't think it's fair to expect him to be what he was in San Francisco because, father time being undefeated and all that ish. What I do think it does is it gives an opportunity for Devon Hamilton to make the comeback performance that he needs to make the impact that he does.
I like that name. He was on my list. He was.
Well,
I'm a big Devon Hamilton guy.
I have Arik Armstead on my list of names, but the weirder part about this is it pivots me into a different conversation about Arik Armstead, is because yes, I believe he's going to be a bounce back candidate, but I also believe he's going to get injured, and I'm not hoping for it to take place. I'm just saying I see a guy's history, and I see in his last 2 seasons playing defensive tackle snaps or significant defensive tackle snaps, even when they put him on the load management, he played 9 and 12 games in San Francisco before signing in Jacksonville. And then they bring him to Jacksonville, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're gonna play you more at end than we play you at defensive tackle. So that's why I know that conversation probably came from both sides and not just Arik Armstead or not just the defensive coordinator or not just Trent Baalke.
Yep.
Like they all had to come to that conclusion because it was a way to load manage him and to kind of keep him healthy. And now them saying, all right, we're going to pay you more at defensive tackle, then my immediate response is, all right, cool. What other end are you going to be sharing snaps with? Because if you play him, he may get injured, and I don't feel good about that, the prospect.
There's a line between load management and 61% at the end, right? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. 61% of his snaps was at DN in 2024, which is just wild. So
Kyle brought up a great point. I mean, you do have the Devon Hamilton, you have the Mason Smith rotation. With those 3 guys, you can look at a good rotation there. Not to mention some of the younger guys that are on the roster that may have some potential, but I mean, you have a solid rotation on that D line now that actually contributes versus in the past where outside of your top 4, you were getting 0 contribution.
Right. Here's what
you're closer to 2022 right now with the amount of rotation that they actually have now on this Jaguars roster at end and defensive tackle.
What they want to prevent is Arik Armstead to be the next coming of Falaransu Fatukasi. It's great when he's there. It's just that he ain't too much.
Nah, man. If you want to say the next coming of Falaransu Fatukasi, you're looking at Devon Hamilton. That's it. Like it's not the same scenario with how the injuries happen.
Wise is all. That's it.
Yeah, but how the injuries happen. But I am talking about Devon Hamilton's back issue took a lot away from him, and unfortunately, we need to see something a little bit more from him. And I don't even know what that looks like for Devon, because I know Jason mentioned Devon Hamilton also was a guy on his list, and I'm just like, well, I don't know what a plus season for Devon Hamilton looks like because he's not a sack guy. He's not really a pressure guy. In the pass rush game, so he's got to be a top guy as far as run stopping, and we don't generally notice that.
Yeah, which is crazy because when he was a rookie and he was young in the league, he was a guy that could knife into the gap and get upfield and put pressure on the quarterback. And obviously he had Calais Campbell and Josh Hines-Allen next to him, and I get that's a different situation. But we saw a distinct difference between Devon Hamilton pre-injury and post-injury, which obviously that happens. Yeah. But if I really like Devon Hamilton, like he is actually one of the good ones, like character guy, locker room guy, hard worker, very unlucky injury situation. It went way beyond just your typical unlucky injury. Like he hit some medical complications. So I think he's a guy that if he can get back, I know it's a big if, but we have seen, and that's the difference between some of these guys that when you look at bounce back players is some of these guys, we've seen them do it. We've seen Devon Hamilton do it. And if you can mix him in that rotation, like I talked about, because I love Nason Smith, I think with more snaps, he'll continue to grow. We've seen Arik Armstead do it. That interior defensive line, there's a chance that that could be a good little rotation there. So I like both those guys.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I have seen that movie. I have seen that.
Thank
movie.
God.
Yeah.
So I have two more guys on my list, and also a third that I know folks aren't thinking about, but I think it's very interesting. But
And
I
you
want
better
to
not
want
say
DP.
one. You better not say one that I'm thinking. So you go
Oh,
ahead.
who? Like,
Well, why
is
did
the
you
one I'm
say
thinking?
Nest?
Yeah. Who are you there?
No.
Definitely.
You go
Because
ahead.
I'm going to go with Anton Harrison first,
Okay.
as the first guy, because we already had the argument on Wednesday's Duval Dive as far as how the differences of where we both lie as far as how we gauge his rookie season versus his sophomore season. We just view it a little bit differently. I'm fully with you on that, but overall, I think this new scheme, the fact that Liam Coen is so versatile in his scheme, like unlike Doug Peterson, who was for the most part, this is my scheme, this is what I'm running, this is what we're going to do, and if you struggle at it, this sucks for you. Whereas maybe with the versatility in the play calling and the scheming, then they'll allow Anton to be a little bit more consistent in the run game, because I think he's going to be fine as far as pass protection is concerned. So that's kind of why I'm naming him, simply on the back of the coach and the coaching as far as the offensive line play is concerned. What say you?
Obviously I said
You were high on him.
Yeah, I said this on Wednesday. I mean, I think he took a step back last year, but so did everybody. So I'm expecting everyone to take that same step back forward. Hopefully some of them a larger step, but I'm expecting everyone to take that step back to where they were 2 years ago. And I think Anton Harrison is no different. I think he's a guy that's going to come right back to being who we thought is his rookie year, more experience. Yeah. He's got some good dudes now. When you look at guys like Bakari, when you look at even like guys like Hainsey and Fred Johnson, you got some veterans in there now. Like he's never had that. So, I mean, I think that's going to do a lot for him. I'm big on Anton Harrison. I love him where he's at. Put him at right tackle. I think that's the least of our worries, but I do like the name.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to see a bounce back. I think because he's the penciled in starter for the moment, it's hard for him to be in a position to be a bounce back per se, but I'm getting you on a technicality. It's not that I hate the choice.
Right. I mean, you named Trevor Lawrence.
I was about to say that. I'm glad you did.
What does I don't follow?
You said he's as the starter. He can't be a bounce back.
No. Because and the reason why that's different is A, the physics for other positions are different too. Y'all boys know that. And B, it has more to do with Trevor's injury than it does that particular piece. To be honest.
And you have Johnny Wofford breathing down your neck. So that's a good point.
That's fair. But also, and I named Travis Etienne. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys who were starters.
The team was bad. Everyone's a bounce back candidate.
That's actually factual. We we might win this thing naming 11 players, which is
Brian Thomas is the only guy that can't have a bounce back year next year.
It'll be all bounce back candidate because he's busy being the best backup in the NFL, right, Travis?
Oh gosh, yes, the best backup in the NFL. That's exactly who.
You finally got to use it. You finally got the exaggeration alert.
Exaggeration alert. Yes. And finally, if we're talking like guys who are obviously going to be your starters on the offense or defense, we're talking Tyson Campbell. Like, I just need him to be healthy. I need a season of him being healthy, and that's the guy that Jason was talking about. Right? That's it's
the
not
guy
his play on the field.
That's the guy I did not want you to say.
It's not his play on the field, and we know that. Like when he's healthy and he has those opportunities, he's great, man. But if he's limited with a soft tissue, anything, like he doesn't even have to be an injury, just hurt. He's a different player. Like it's a big step down whenever he has a hamstring or something else that he's just not fully himself, and that gives him that out, like a lot of players. And it sucks. So it's just like, hey man, I need to see a healthy year of him. I need him going to that doctor that Chris Watson went to in Green Bay.
Christian Watson.
Yeah, Yeah, Christian Watson. Yeah, I need to see whatever needs to happen on the hamstrings, on those soft tissue injuries, on the Jaguars medical staff, etc., to make sure that man plays a full 17 game slate and maybe a little bit more. Knock on wood, playoffs, whatever. So I need to see a healthy Tyson Campbell, and that will literally automatically be a bounce back season for him because I think his quality on the play is fine when he's reasonably healthy.
I can't speak on Tyson Campbell. My mom taught me if it's not nice, don't say it.
Ooh.
Come on. You spoke on Trevor Lawrence being as low as possible.
At least Trevor Lawrence
is
tried.
that bad?
At least the dude's out there limping around, trying his best, dude. Tyson Campbell's handing Gatorade bottles to Darnell Savage and Monteric Brown.
And Dewey, right?
Yeah, miss me with that.
He's been injured like three of his 4 seasons so far? Was it 3 or 4? Or was it 4 or 5?
I
Actually, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, I hate to tell you, it's a duck.
Damn, he's cooking Campbell like soup. Oh my!
I'm sorry. I can't say anymore. I love the guy. I hope he bounces back. I'm with you. I'm with you, Travis. I'm with you.
And my surprise candidate, which I didn't even know I was going to name, and then I saw the name and I was like, "Oh, duh!" Like, I mean, what the heck?
Parker Washington. No, I'm kidding.
Man, Dawon Smoot. Come on. Former Jacksonville Jaguars player who ends up leaving the team because he had an Achilles injury, ends up also getting hurt in the 2024 season with a wrist injury with Buffalo. So he ends up not getting as many snaps and as many sacks as he normally would have. Back in Jacksonville, he ended up having 5.5 and 6 sacks and 5.5, 6, 5, 5 in 4 seasons straight. Like, he's your rotational guy who can play big end and also defensive tackle that they missed after his injury. And he got a sack and a half in last season after having that wrist injury, and he only played in 11 games. If he can stay reasonably healthy, you're talking about that depth that you can have. That's a guy, man.
He's Arden Key at best, dude.
Yeah, wishes he was Arden Key.
Yeah, but I actually would be happy if he was
Arden Key.
Yeah, I would be ecstatic if he was Arden Key because that's what the Jaguars have been missing. They don't have that depth in a lot of those positions, but now they have Agba at edge. They have
Agba will see significantly more snaps than Dawon. Jalen McLeod will probably see more snaps at edge than Dawon.
I don't know about that.
Don't agree. Don't agree on that one.
If you comeback vlogger of the year, yes, Dawon Smoot, number 1 in my brain. He would probably comeback vlogger of the year. Looking at comeback player, he'll be lucky if he sees the field. Are you kidding me?
The dude. So you think he does? You think Dawon Smoot doesn't see the field? Is because
he'll see the field, but it will. I mean,
what? Because of injury? Because of you think he fell off a map?
Snaps will be what he prays for.
So do you think he just fell off a cliff? Or are you thinking like where is your head in who Dawon Smoot currently is? Because normally he has an Achilles injury. You normally need a year to kind of get back to normal. This will be now 2 years out from that 2022 injury, right? So
when he was normal at his best, what was he?
About a 6 sack guy.
Okay,
for the most part.
He's
a 6 sack guy who can play inside outside versatility.
On the defensive line that had
Arden Key, had Josh Hines-Allen, had who was the other defensive tackle? Was it Fuller? Was it Batukasi?
Yeah. So a guy who was maybe 3rd or 4th on the rotation is now looking at being 5th or 6th. I think max he sees 20%. I mean, Ogba's going to get more snaps than him. Arik Armstead being bumped up. Jordan Jefferson will get more snaps than him. I'm sorry to tell you. Like he's.
I don't know that Jordan Jefferson gets more snaps than him, but I understand the rest of the arguments.
That's a good bar. I gotta be with Jason on this one. I think he's a bigger headline than he is a contribution.
Ooh, okay. I'm on board with it. Hey, at the end of the day, they want a competition, and that's the perfect kind of guy. Buy low candidates. If you're a team like, I hate when the folks used to call Trent Baalke Ben Baalke because that's exactly who he was when you're talking, free agency and these acquisitions. But if you want to have a buy low option, that's the kind of guy you want. Your defensive tackle 3, 4, 5, or defensive end 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's the kind of guy you take a low risk flyer on, and if he bounces back, then you just have a freaking wave and a wave and a wave of guys as options for very low cost. I'm okay with it in that way.
Who am I thinking of? Laquan Treadwell, Austin Bailey kind of thing. Who was the dude that was at Cleveland after being at Miami that came in for an off season too?
Oh, Jarvis Landry?
Landry, that's it. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's the kind of vibe I get here.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you look under the rocks and see what's available.
You guys
and then you have competition. Yeah, go ahead.
You guys dismissed Jalen McLeod pretty. This isn't the show for that, but
let me be very clear.
Yeah.
We are a pro Jalen McLeod podcast. I want to be very clear. Like, I know his family. Like, no. Like, we are a pro McLeod, but I just believe that he's going to need a little bit more time to develop, and I think he's going to be a dog once he gets where they're trying to get him. That's my overall point. Is I think he's going to be a very good pass rusher who may play a little bit of stack linebacker, but at this current moment in time, I need to see where exactly he's going to land as far as whether he's going to be a full-time rusher, the full-time linebacker, where they're going to make him either gain weight, lose weight, whatever that's going to look like.
Has he ever played linebacker? I get where he's at on the depth charts, but has he ever in his life played linebacker? He's been an edge rusher his entire life.
No. He has played both. He has been an actual stand-up stack linebacker who rushed like a lot, like because he didn't rush all of his snaps in 2024.
And so he played to use him that way. That's his better shot at getting.
So he played linebacker, zone drop, linebacker.
Yes.
All the film I saw, the dude was going after the quarterback every snap.
Probably because you were watching snaps where he's rushing the quarterback. I don't know. Like, like he's played actual snaps, dropping in coverage and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay. I would do a gentleman's bet McLeod has more sacks this year than Duval.
Oh, sacks. Well, that's a different thing, though. That's one of these guys that's actually had 19% pass rush win rate, like in college. Well, yeah, I would hope that guy, if he has even reasonably the same amount of pass rushes, would have a more sacks than the other guy who is not. He's more of a strength guy who can play a little bit of inside and out and give you that versatility, but also he's not a guy like he's going to give you sacks to the level of a defensive tackle who's good. Like, I mean, DeForest Buckner had like 6 sacks last year, and he's the dog because he's a defensive tackle. That's not his game. So I agree with you that an edge might end up getting more sacks than a defensive tackle because, well, yeah, duh. But also, I don't know. We'll see because it's a rotational edge. So that makes it a little bit more of a conversation, at least. A guy who's maybe your third edge now in Jalen McLeod versus a guy who may be your second to third to fourth even defensive tackle option in Duval Smoot. I mean,
I think Duval Smoot plays more big end than he does D tackle.
I don't know where he's going to play yet. I don't know. There's a lot of movement going on.
You're the one that named him. You're the one that brought him up.
And I think it's going to be interesting. It's really intriguing. It's really intriguing.
Okay.
He might not be on the roster. He might be your defensive end 3-4. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I did make the reference with Landry, who, for the record, did not start or play week 1. So there's that. Okay.
Landry didn't make it out of Ricky minicamp.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's I wanted to be nicer than that. Anyways, there's the list of bounce back candidates. I didn't expect this to go 40 minutes, but again, taking all the blame. I mentioned Trevor Lawrence, and I evoked I'm going to jokingly say hatred because I know you're not a Trevor hater, Jason.
I'm not a hater. And you had to know bringing me on. There wasn't going to be a short show. Okay, you had to know that.
Well, whenever someone hates, they say I'm not a hater, that's how you know they're a hater. Like that man said, I'm not a hater.
Oh Lord, see, don't do that because I actually believe that Tyler Dragon is not a Trevor Lawrence hater. Shouts to the Believe in Rams podcast. Okay,
that's a call. That was a callback. It wasn't directed towards you, Jason. I promise. It was actually a callback to Tyler Dragon, Believe in Rams guy.
It was a joke. It was a joke we made on that show too. It was funny. Much like I made with you. I know you're not a hater, but we know you're not.
Listen, no one's rooting for Trevor harder than me. No one celebrated when we got that when the Jets won and we got that first pick. No one celebrated harder than me for Trevor Lawrence. Okay, I believe in the guy. I don't think his interview was as stellar as Travis thought. I thought it was pretty.
Apparently, Travis deserves the exact.
Apparently, Travis was the best interview of all time. I thought it was okay, but it's okay.
Well, main fact that we don't get to see Trevor Lawrence in long form interviews pretty much ever, especially under Trent Baalke. And now the jokes that Trent Baalke's expense, the jokes that Urban Meyer's expense, the history of some of the things that we just didn't know as far as the differences of the small things that he's not had experience doing. Like, it just gave a lot of insight, in my opinion, that I hadn't heard about, even in someone in the media who's had conversations with him. It was just kind of enlightening in those ways. So that's why I thought it was interesting. And then to watch them make fun of these guys who are no longer here, that was funny to me.
No, I enjoyed it. I watched it. It was good. It was good.
So, yeah, I won't front on any of that. So with that in mind, that'll do it for our bounce back players. Jason Trent, tell the world where you can be found.
Jaguars United. God knows when the next show is going to be, but there will be one. So appreciate you guys having me. Always love talking to you guys.
We just wish you weren't so exasperated by your own existence, man. Damn it.
You know, it's it is what it is. People that know me know what I mean. So
Okay.
Travis D. Holmes, my personal champion. Tell the world.
Hey, man, you know where I can be found? On bigcatcountry.com, where we're going to have you guys cover for all of training camp and the season, from the pressers to the observations from the different training camp practices. Knock on wood, maybe we'll have you guys cover for some of those joint practices in Miami. We're going to see what that looks like come August. But yeah, Travis D. Holmes on all the socials, and bigcatcountry.com. Keep it locked in on all the socials. We'll have your observations from camp. And if you're listening to the sound of my voice, please like and subscribe to the Duval Dive on YouTube. Follow and rate us on wherever you're catching your podcast these days, whether that's Apple, Spotify, etc. We appreciate you guys. Again, our commenters, we love you guys. You keep this thing going on, and you keep this thing growing for us. So we appreciate you. And yeah, where can you be found, sir?
Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game, and check out my writings with your Jacksonville Jaguars on Fans First Sports Network, as well as my work covering the Orlando Magic, and also my work with the Black and Gold Banneret and Night Shift podcast, covering all things UCF football, basketball, and otherwise. Just dropped the quarter century team. If you haven't checked that out yet, that's a good time there. blackandgoldbanneret.com. And of course, the accompanying podcast on Night Shift podcast and the Night Shift YouTube channel. An honor, joy, and privilege, of course. Jaguars United, Jason Trent, my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes. Thank you once again, all of you. Until next time, everyone. Class dismissed.